Hi everyone, welcome once again to Root Access. Ryan Ritchie and Jamie DeGrazia with you, former Apple employees. One of us was a genius, was not me.
Oh, you should let him figure that out. Who was the genius?
Well, I should, yeah. Let's see if you can figure it out. It wouldn't be that difficult. Okay, of course we like to answer your questions here on Root Access. This week from Greg in Kansas. Greg, of course, recognizing that we've both left Apple, Greg asks, what did you learn from your time at Apple that you were able to use later in life? I'll let you field this one.
Well,
what did you learn at Apple?
I mean, certainly before I became a Mac genius, I knew a fair amount about Macs. You know, hopefully I did, otherwise why would they hire me? But I didn't have experience taking apart things or troubleshooting. So certainly I learned those skills.
Okay.
And after being a Mac genius for a while, you see everything, and then you become very comfortable with problem solving and problem troubleshooting.
But at the same time, you become the guy that everybody knows. He can take apart.
Well, sure. That's another issue. The unique thing about the Genius Bar, though, is you are the face of Apple, you know, and you deal with hundreds of customers a day, thousands a week, and so you become, or hopefully you become very good at dealing with people.
Right.
I mean, certainly I've run into some geniuses now that I wonder how they got the job, because they might be very technical, but they're awful dealing with people. But I mean, I was always considered myself a people person, but certainly you develop, it's like sink or swim. You have to learn how to communicate with people. You have to learn how to, people who are heartbroken because their hard drive crashed, you have to learn how to deal with that.
Right.
People who are, you know, angry as hell and want to tear your head off, you have to learn how to deal with that. So, I mean, that's probably the thing I learned most or developed most at Apple, was just people skills.
And it is tough being the face of Apple, because there are these policies that you're there and that's what you're representing, and it's not necessarily what the person wants to hear. And, you know, maybe they've traveled 2 hours to come to the store. Maybe this iPod is the most precious thing they've ever owned. Maybe they're rich and they're just spoiled and they want one right now. It was interesting to me the breadth of people you would learn to deal with. Not just dealing with a number of people, but all kinds of different scenarios and situations, and learning how people would react, and learning to read people, quite frankly.
Oh, yeah.
You knew when they came to the bar how it was going to go.
Yeah, I mean, you knew there were some people that you just had to stand your ground, and like, even it was out of warranty and they dropped it, and no matter how angry they got, it was just like you weren't going to replace it. But then you also know the people who, like, who it did make sense to go through this whole argument phase when ultimately they're going to ask for a manager, and then if the manager doesn't help them, they're going to ask for the district manager. Right. So you knew, like, you know what, let's just skip all that and we're going to give you a replacement, because why go through this dance? Right.
And the one thing I took away from it was early on in Apple training, we learned about the old feedback.
Yep.
The positive feedback.
Fearless feedback.
Fearless feedback. I remember it so well. I don't remember the name. Well, it works so well, I call it positive feedback. And, you know, it's just basically a way of dealing with people that seems like common sense, but I've been shocked since I left there how many people don't seem to have that skill set and just blow up at each other about stuff without taking a moment to think it through and, hey, can I talk to you about this or that?
Yeah, or just like, if you go into like retail stores now and you see how some employees interact with customers, you know, when there's like a sticky situation, and how like they're not trained, they were never taught how to deal with customers who are, you know, who are angry,
right?
And you just see it escalate and it blows up into a big mess.
You become more sensitive to customer service all around, generally to yourself as well.
Yeah, and I think you become accustomed to like seeing when there's bad customer service. If you go into a Best Buy or Target and you're like, man, this is really poor customer service, this wouldn't happen at Apple.
So you had mentioned the technical aspect of it, taking computers apart and getting certified and all that. From a technical aspect of it, where can people go with that skill set? What kind of jobs are available?
Well, I mean, certainly what I did was I still wanted to work in the Mac field, so I wanted to find a place that was, you know, all Mac or close to it. I mean, it happens to be the place I work at. We're 100% Mac. And it's just IT, basically, you know, but you're dealing with, you know, it's a closed environment, so you're in charge. I'm in charge of, you know, all the computers and the servers and everything. But you're not dealing with, like, customers, obviously, or you know, you're dealing with less hardware problems. It's mostly software troubleshooting and just maintenance. And
So day to day, you might not swap out a hard drive, let's say.
No.
But if you had to,
Yeah,
not
exactly.
a problem
Yep.
to get in there. And how do you feel now when you go back to the bar? Having been on that side and you go in for service.
yeah, well, it's strange. When I've been back recently, and I mean the stores are getting busier and busier all the time, and I don't think I could do that job right now if I had to. It just seems way too hectic, and I thought it was hectic before. But I also feel like sometimes that, man, this isn't maybe as good as a customer service experience as it used to be, because it's just so busy now, and just the way the store's laid out where you can't even approach the bar. I was just telling you off air, the way the store was designed, they had the concierge sign in, and they had this section roped off, and you couldn't even come up to the bar.
Right.
Even just to say, hey, I just have a quick question. You couldn't even get to the bar.
It feels like there are bouncers.
Yeah.
And they let you up into that section.
Yeah, and it was like, man, one of the things I liked most about being at the Genius Bar was like people just sort of mosey up real fast and just, hey, I have a quick question, and we would just like discuss something really quick. But they can't even do that now. It's like they're 10 feet away from you. It's like being on this, like a stage or something.
And I'd commented to you as well, when we worked there, even if we went into another store, it was very apparent. You could figure out who the manager was or the manager on duty out on the floor. And it just doesn't seem, at least the stores that I've been in recently, that there's any sense of who's in control or that they're in the back. It is very Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, I don't know if that's just because it's like even busier now than when we were there.
I don't know.
And it's more chaotic, but it's strange. Having been gone for a while and coming back, I don't think I can do that job again.
So Greg, given that it's a mix of both the technical set aspect and the personnel, I think dealing with people though is the thing I wasn't a genius, but that's the part that I retained the strongest. I put a lot of RAM chips in, and most of them were the right way. Someday we'll talk about some instances where they weren't incorrectly and intentionally, but I think to me that's the strong piece of it.
Yeah, definitely.
You could learn the Mac take aparts on your own. Now, granted, it's going to be hard to find a situation where you're going to have access to so many machines to take apart of every kind. But there you go, Greg. Maybe he's thinking about leaving Apple. Maybe that's why he's...
Perhaps.
We'll cover that in another, whether you should leave if you're there. We'll talk about that not next time, but sometime in the future. If you've got questions, send it in, root@thedigitallifestyle.tv. Bye-bye, everybody.